You gonna introduce yourself, or should I introduce myself first?
I think you should go for it.
Hi, I'm T. I'm model, and should I say the Milky Mag stuff now as well? And I also have my own magazine, Milky Magazine. Comes out mid-April. If you want to pitch for it, please DM me.
Hi, I'm Sonya, entrepreneur, author, presenter, writer, content creator, and an elder sister. And I think it was quite ironic that you felt that you had to ask me as to how to introduce yourself.
No, I just didn't know if we were going to introduce each other or if it was going to be a thing of like, hi guys, today it's my sister and we're having a conversation. But I'm glad I got to introduce myself.
So you didn't go into like,
I feel like you wouldn't have been able to do me justice anyway, so I had
you
to
didn't go
introduce
into younger
myself.
sister mode.
No, I'm on camera. I'm not a younger sister anymore.
Who are you?
TMILKY. So I can't be a younger sister unless we get into questions that you've always wanted to ask your big sister. Should we?
Yeah.
Okay. So a lot of the ones online are rubbish. Are we allowed to talk about dating and stuff? No.
No.
I feel like we're both getting trouble.
That will wait and save for a few episodes in. So if you want us to answer questions about dating, love, and any kind of situationships, leave us questions in the description or in the comments even, not even the description because we have to write that.
Yeah. Okay. So one of the ones that were listed were friendship fallouts. Now this is interesting because you being an elder sister, and we have a significant, I shouldn't say how many years, right?
It's up to you.
We have a 7-year age gap. And so obviously she's my older sister. But that also meant that I wasn't privy to a lot of her private life. So I didn't really know about the going ons about her friendship groups, how it was in school and stuff. I knew her most to just be the responsible person who like only wants vegetarian dishes for dinner and like just did weird stuff that the rest of our siblings didn't do. So when it came to friendship fallouts, that's something I had to navigate on my own, learning myself. How did you learn then how to navigate friendship fallouts?
I just got ghosted.
Oh.
And then I guess that was a friendship fallout.
Okay, cool.
But listen, I have to say that when I was growing up, there wasn't a concept of social media. So the closest thing we had to social media was between the ages of like 11 and 16 when there was MSN Messenger, and then after 16 there was Facebook. And then we had text messages, but even then it wasn't unlimited text. You had to really think about your character count. And then WhatsApp came into play, I think, when I was around 20. And you know, real like social media, so like an Instagram or the Twitters of the world, or even like really being on Facebook, we didn't really get into until our early 20s, and then work started. So I guess what I mean by that is your friendships were very much based on you meeting with them in person and then you texting with them.
Would you say they were more
WhatsApping.
meaningful comparatively to like today, what you see? Because you mentioned having to worry about your character count and stuff. So the things that you said to your friends then were way more well thought out.
I think friendships were very different then. When you were the friendships I had when I was younger, I didn't want anything from them. They didn't want anything from me. We just wanted each other's company.
So true.
It wasn't a transaction.
Yeah.
And you didn't know what the wider world had to offer. So a lot of my friendships, for example, and a lot of close friendships were just, they broke up with me and they ghosted me. Like, that was ghosting before dating and boyfriends or girlfriends. You were ghosted by your friends because either you weren't compatible or you were growing apart, or you actually got your GCSE grades and they didn't, which is a real thing, because of, you know, technicalities with the education system, or because a guy that you like spoke to you and not them, or because they just thought you were going down a different direction. They didn't know how to hack that, or vice versa. You know, I remember two significant friendship fallouts for me, I think in the early 20s. And I'd text and I'd text and I'd text and I'd text, and I'd probably like text essays, right? And I'd text and I'd be like, why aren't you my friend? Like, why aren't you replying? Like, what's wrong? Like, what's happening? And I'd get nothing back. And at some point I'd be like, okay, I just don't care anymore.
Okay, well, as someone who's been the receiver end of like, not you specifically, obviously, because we're related, but like of friends messaging me essays, being like, I'm unsure what happened between us and stuff like that. A lot of the time, the perpetrator, the reason to why I ghost is because I feel like those conversations are futile. I mean, in hindsight, they never are, and you should have those conversations for the sake of you and the other person. But yeah, just being on the other end of things, I think that receiving an essay worth of a text is really overwhelming. Even if I'm a fast reader, I think the audacity to send me that much and want me to process that much, or it feels like dumping a load of information on me.
But the audacity of then just stopping a friendship out of the blue and then expecting the other person not to have any kind of, what's that word? Not consent, but when you closure is difficult. And I would say 100% of the time, anyone who has fallen out with me as a friend has then come back to me in a few years and has been like, I'm so sorry that I behaved that way and I acted that way. I'd love to take you for a coffee. I'd love to take you to the cinema. I want to be your friend again. And by that point, I'm sorry, it's too late. Yeah. And I've moved on and I've grown. But also I've realised that there was a reason as to why we parted. It's probably because we weren't added value to each other. And I'm probably much better and stronger without you. And so it also, like recently in my early, late 20s, early 30s, I realised I have ADHD. And a couple of years ago, someone asked me, has your ADHD impacted your friendships? And I was like, no, why would it? Turns out having ADHD sometimes does impact your friendships. Yeah. And so you could be really attached to people and then you just want to know what's going on. And then you completely just lose all emotion and any kind of just feeling for anybody. So the friends that I've lost, I feel nothing towards them because I actually don't care.
That's crazy.
Right?
Do you generally, are you obsessed with your friends?
I'm obsessed with the people that I love, genuinely, but I'm also just as distant when I just don't actually care about you.
Okay, fair enough.
Like when I leave your life, in the beginning you're like, oh my God, yeah, I have peace and quiet because she doesn't talk that much, she doesn't text, she doesn't add extra stuff. And then after a while you're like, ooh, she's actually left us and she's leveled up and we're still there. And this is not me throwing shade to people, but I guess it kind of is.
Oh well. Anyways, okay, next topic. Trying to get a life. So this means going from the transitionary period from GCSEs, A-levels to now being out in the real world and having to fend for yourself. Now, this is also something I had an issue with because...
Wait, sorry, going back to friendship navigation.
Yeah.
I would say, just in reflection, I apologise if I never taught you or helped you navigating friendships, but I think...
It's okay, I'm still suffering.
A couple of reasons why is probably because you were always slightly more stronger than I am and a lot more headstrong.
Yeah, I am.
You weren't as emotive. You're dramatic for sure, but like you weren't like into your emotions, and I didn't know how to navigate my emotions. But also, apart from that, is as much as we have a 7-year gap, I am the eldest of every person in my family, and so I didn't know how to pass on that information when information hasn't been passed on to me. So now, of course, we can have that conversation, and hopefully, this is helpful to people. But like, it's not, I'm not trying to make me feel bad for me, or I'm not trying to make you feel bad for me. I'm just trying to say that I could have been I'm already a great older sister. I could have been a better
No, it's fine.
Sister.
I think there comes a point where, like, even with your parents or with anyone, your friends that you've had for like over 10 years, that kind of thing as well, where after a while, those quarrels or issues that you may have had with them prior, they become funny things. Hence why we can talk about it now. Like, realistically speaking, this is no offense, I don't need your advice on friendships anymore because like I'm in life now where I realize like if I don't do it myself, nobody can really tell me anything. I'm not seeking that advice. Whereas when you're smaller, my brain is more like soft and I'm like, I need guidance, or I'm looking towards like a cool older person to tell me what to do, which also then gets you in trouble. But you know what I mean? Like now I am the older person.
I think I tried to do it in the best way I could have based on the little information I knew.
Yeah.
In hindsight, everything is in hindsight. 15 years after, we have so much more information, so much more access, so much more awareness. Yeah. Imagine if that's the education that you've been born into. That's the education that I was learning in my mid-20s. Yeah. Right? I'm like already 10, 15 years behind in some instances. And so we're kind of playing catch up at the same time. Now back to your question about navigating life holes. And being... Sorry. Like, you can make some...
No, but Name Collective usually have thumb holes.
What's this?
Sorry, I was looking for them. Carry on.
You weren't even looking properly.
My bad, girl.
A second ago, you're like, I am navigating life independently, and then you can't even find thumb holes in your jumper.
Carry on.
So that goes back to your question about like getting a life. I'm not going to say I have a life. I'm saying I'm trying to figure that out. But the point being, and you answered your own question, the way to get a life is to really be like, hey, no one's going to be out there helping me. I have to go help myself. What tools and resources do I have? What are my passion points? What am I good at? What can I just do? And then what can I just figure out?
Do you think you're a corporate girlie?
Ooh, well, I feel like that's a loaded question. I feel like I have been conditioned to be a corporate girlie. I have not been conditioned to be a creative girlie. And the problem is that there is a distinction there, though there shouldn't be, because it should be complementary. But again, when I was growing up in the education system in the world, it was you're either maths or you're art, even though they're
I thought
complementary.
you were gonna say you're either mask or you're femme.
You haven't got to that yet.
Yeah, sorry. Carry on.
But so I didn't know anything except to be a corporate girly. I went to school to go to university. I went to university to get a job. I got a job in the corporate sector. I then started my own business in the corporate space. It's only the last 2-3 years that I've realized maybe I'm a creative girly, and also maybe those things are interchangeable and we shouldn't have a distinction. So to answer your question, I guess I'm a corporate girly, but I'm not even good at that.
True. Is there anything you've ever wanted to ask me?
Why are you such an emo?
So do you remember when?
Is it offensive if I ask you?
No.
Am I gonna get cancelled?
No, it's like it's my law, it's my backstory. I'm happy to talk about it. So
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about if someone's gonna watch this and be like, you can't say that anymore.
you can't say emo.
I just want to make sure I know what I can and cannot say.
You can say
the
emo.
world is moving very fast.
You can say emo. Okay, right. When I was like 6 or 7, do you remember? Well, you will remember because you were older. McDonald's came out with the Happy Meal toys. And the Happy Meal toys, they had the music players.
I don't know where this is going.
They had the music players.
I don't remember.
Okay,
they didn't eat McDonald's
they
back
remember.
then either.
They remember. This is okay. Yeah. Anyways.
And I don't eat McDonald's now.
Anyways, yeah, same. So on the little players, they would have it was like a music player basically toy. And they all came with different ones, and you collect different ones. I think some of them were like the British pop girly bands at the time. One was Avril Lavigne, and then one was Tokyo Hotel Monsoon. And it moved me so much when I was a child. They were like, the lyrics was like, through the monsoon. And I was like, I don't know what monsoon is, but I feel so connected to what this guy is saying right now. And I swear to you, like, that made me spiral. And since then, I saw the world through this like deep lens of like, oh my gosh, maybe everything is more poetic than what I think. I just gained consciousness at that point. And then YouTube happened. And then I was like down a rabbit hole of like different alternative artists like that, and a lot of their lyricism sort of crawled into my head. I think it's why I like poetry and writing now as well, because I'm able to see the world in that way. Like, you might see a branch outside, but I'm like, oh my gosh, branch, a tool for the birds, oh my gosh, nest, like it carries on.
So at what point did you go from, because when I as I remember in your teenage years, you were like fully just wearing all black, dark hair. You weren't trying to put color into your life. You were changing your room around constantly. You were in your room. You were very, what I would say in terms of vibrancy, very opposite to me.
Yeah.
Right. And then at some point you shifted, and now you're wearing a pink hoodie with sparkly nails.
Yeah.
Okay,
let me put it to you this way.
Just you're less emo now and more just emotional.
At some point, and I do fault as well the way being emo was romanticized. I'm not going to say it's not my fault for participating in it, but I was a child, so the internet was to blame. I had too much access to Tumblr, too much access to all of those types of emo platforms. And so I skipped out on a lot of those years where I should have been being silly. Like, silly as in, like, coloring books. What people complain about now, like, I didn't get my tween years, because a lot of tweens in today's day and age, they don't have Disney Channel, they don't have Nickelodeon.
Hey, what's a tween?
What do you mean, what's a tween? Like 11, 12, 13?
But you're not 11, 12, 13.
Hello, I'm telling you what you said when I was little. I'm explaining my emo period to you.
We had Disney Channel when we were little.
I'm relaying it back to something else. Listen, just like how right now the kids don't have that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
fine.
at that time, my source of like information and stuff was the internet. And so I was going down a much darker route in comparison to things I should have known, things I should have been reading, seeing and stuff. And so that influenced me a lot more, which means that now as an adult or a young adult, I'm taking my teenage years back. I'm taking girlhood back. Like, if I want to wear pink, I'm wearing pink. If I want to be silly, I'm being silly. If I'm rewatching Hannah Montana from start to finish, I'm doing that, because I took that away from myself way too early. So I think that's where that thing came. Like, the idea to be adamant to only wear all black when you have no concept of, at that age, of like the fashion statement that it makes. It's more of like a rebellious thing. I mean, that's just silly, I took away from myself being able to wear like a rainbow jumper. I'm doing that now.
I think it's really interesting, because as what you may call a millennial, I feel like that relates to the question you asked me earlier, are you a corporate girly? And right now, I may be on my own journey where I'm reclaiming being creative and being silly in my own way and trying things and not being afraid of what people think. I grew up in an era where you really cared about what people think. Log kya kahenge is like a very, famous or infamous saying in our culture. What will people say? What will people think? How would that impact and influence you moving forward? So every step was not just what step you're taking, but how will this impact you 3 steps down, and how will it impact you in terms of life, love, marriage, work, salary, kids, food, traveling, friendships, situationships, everything. And so maybe the way that you're reclaiming your tween era, individuals who are, similar age to mine, maybe like 29 to like 39, are reclaiming that, well, what if we just tried something different and didn't follow a corporate route? Like, what's the worst that can happen? We might just be happier, actually.
No, you will be. No. Unless, of course, your passion lays in like the data analytic side of life, then that's fine.
But also, data analytics is very creative.
Yeah, I follow a woman.
People put it down, but you have to be such a creative and a problem solver for you to go into technology. And I feel like that's the skills that people aren't telling you.
True.
Tech is not just, how many words can you type in a minute? It's how can you solve a problem, and especially a problem that we as a society doesn't even know exists. Like, people are going to the planets right now. That's someone woke up one day and was like, the problem is that we can't reach the planets. And another person was like, hey, let me try and solve that. That's literally what technology is. It's a tool to just figure stuff out, and stuff that you can't even imagine doing.
Yeah. It's a tool to explore your imagination in the tangible world.
It's such an exciting space to be.
It's true.
It's not as like, it is as deep as people make it. It is life-changing as people make it, but it's also not that serious all the time. Like, you wake up one day and you're like, hey, the problem is that, there's not enough conversations between eldest and younger sisters. Oh, we're just going to have a phone, have a light, have mics, and just create a YouTube video and put it online. That's amazing. 15 years ago, that would have not been something that would have ever crossed my mind. Like, why would it have been? We didn't have the tools, the resources, or even the brain to be innovative, because you were in this circle. You were conforming, right? The great thing about today's generation is, as much as you are conforming, you're also equally trying to break your kind of circles of conformation.
Yeah.
And you're kind of pushing the comfort zone. And as Gen Z push comfort zones, the rest of the world are then pushing comfort zones too.
Yeah.
But Gen Zs are afraid of failing and rejection, and that's a shame. Because as much as you will have confidence to make videos and post online, you don't really have confidence in real life.
Yeah. I would argue it's 50-50. Like, the internet did fry our brain, but likewise, the tools that we were given from school, from authority figures, etc., to then go into the workplace quickly became outdated. A lot. So one thing I always think about is when I was in primary school, they said to us, you need to always carry a ballpoint pen and write in cursive, because when you go to secondary school, if you don't write in cursive, your stuff's going to get thrown away. Then went to secondary school, and every single essay was digitally digitally typed up. Now those things keep happening. So it'll be like, when you go to the workplace, you have to make sure that you wear a suit, tie, this, that. Well, no, because we've realized now, and studies have shown, that if you just let people be a bit more comfortable in the way that they want to work, their work rate is much better as well. So the things that we were told about the workplace is actually different from what it is. If I talk to, like, because I have a foot in both worlds, right? I'm creative, but I also work, and I've worked in tech, and now obviously still work as well. So when it comes to that kind of thing, it's like the people I speak to who are just creatives, like my friends and stuff, they have no clue where or how to even then apply to a job, like a corporate job, because they think it's still the time of you print out your CV and you go to a shop or something like that. Not knowing even stuff like statistics, data, not knowing that people are trying to turn to a 4-day work week. They wouldn't know any of that stuff. They wouldn't know about the fact that loads of people are saying, why are we going back to forced hybrid working or forced on-site working, when you told people with disabilities that there was no way that they could do remote. Then the pandemic hit, they could do remote. So there's an accessibility
argument.
Yeah.
What you're saying is the new generation want accessibility.
Yeah, and also need they also need an updated. I mean, that's to each their own. They should be doing that themselves, but they don't actually know anything about the workplace.
But that makes no sense to me, because You're always online. You're constantly on social media. You're
You
scrolling
man
your
are on
phones.
LinkedIn though. Do you feel me? You're on LinkedIn.
Which man?
Sorry, you people are on LinkedIn.
That's what I mean. Are you gonna get cancelled now because you said you man?
No, silly Billy. Listen, you guys are on LinkedIn, and so that's where you guys are having work-related conversations. When I'm on LinkedIn too, but my peers, they would think, ew, LinkedIn, ew, I'm not 35, you know, not
But
realizing
even
that.
people are shifting from LinkedIn. They are finding work on Instagram. The point being is any social media tool, for anyone listening right now, any social media tool can be and should be your portfolio. You should be sharing what you're doing in a way that you feel is true to
When
you.
is social media going to become social media again? I don't want it to be a thing
Actually,
of,
Snapchat have a new campaign out that literally says something along the lines of, I'm going to paraphrase, not social media.
yeah, bro,
Because there's no
why
social,
can't we just be
there's no
fun?
social media.
Why can't it just be
Because
fun?
the world is serious.
Do you
and we
remember
live in
when
a
we used to
capitalist
take
society.
pictures
We
of
can't
like
be fun.
a cup of coffee? No, hold on.
No,
Beyonce,
I
when
remember-
Beyonce had her rollout album on that day, she posted, this was like 2014
You
or something.
cannot quote Beyonce when you're trying to have
She
fun.
posted a picture of vegan cupcakes. She didn't even post the album title. Like, hey guys, everyone go to the link in bio. She didn't do that. And I know it's a different time and different era, but
Because
that was when
everyone's
stuff
trying to be
was
a content
fun.
creator. Everyone's trying to be an influencer. Everyone's trying to commercialize.
We're saying
what they're
that
doing.
we have professional lighting and we're being recorded right now. We are the problem. We need to break our own matrix.
Gen Z are the problem.
Okay, let's relax a little bit. I think there is reform that needs to be done in the
Boomers are the
workplace.
problem. Millennials are the
They're
problem.
all right. Everyone's all right, man.
Everyone is their own problem.
Every-
is what
yeah,
I'm trying
yeah,
to say.
everyone's their own
Everyone
problem.
has an influence on the system. It is literally what we consume and how we choose to navigate our life. So
Wait, I thought of something.
as an example,
Okay, go.
right? Apparently the stats tell me, because I'm in the diversity and inclusion space too, trying to make things more accessible. Apparently the stats tell me that, 65% of Gen Zs want to work for a company that's value-led and sustainable. Okay, but those are the same Gen Zs that are going and buying fast fashion with fashion brands like Boohoo and Misguided that don't pay their people. So make up your mind. You're either not putting money in the pockets of people that aren't doing the work or doing the work at the rate that they should be, or you're standing your ground saying, hey, actually, we're not going to consume this because it is impacting the world and we really believe in climate and we really believe in leaving the world in a good place. You can't have it both ways. And when it comes back to your point about career and conversations, yes, you should have, for example, a LinkedIn profile, just because that should be considered your online CV. You should put the work you're doing as you would in a CV there, download it as a PDF, DM people, message people, email people, pick up phone calls and talk to strangers, not in a creepy way, on the train or as they're walking or at events and be like, hey, what do you get up to? This is what I'm looking for. Can you help me?
This is so dead. I know in hindsight, and not even hindsight right now, I know that's how the world is and you are supposed to operate go with the flow, that's how it is. So you can adapt and make that work for you. But that just sounds so dire and so boring. Like the sheer realization that this is life, what you're probably interpreting right now is like, oh my gosh, Gen Z, they can't do anything. But that sounds horrible. Like, oh, we're gonna go outside, we're gonna network. Like, what happened to stop and like pick up a daisy, make a daisy chain, lay down, have fun?
Should I tell you what happened?
Wait, let's go back. Even on the internet, what happened to blogging? Milky Mac.
Let me
So you know what I mean? Like,
babe, let me tell you what happened. I'm in a babe pet, right? Let me tell you. One, with all due respect, going up and picking up a daisy doesn't put food on your table. So what happened? What happened is there's a cost of living crisis. We don't have financial stability, and everyone has realized that doing things for fun is fun until you can't actually feed yourself. And so you're having to balance this act where you're like, something should just be passion projects and something should just be hobbies. Not everything needs to make profit. But at the end of the day, you also have to pay yourself, and it has to be fair and it has to be equitable. And we still aren't being paid equally to any extent. And then there's a lot more competition because of social media.
Yeah,
because of content, because
There
of,
is.
Creators of any kind, / like people of influence / influencers / professionals. And then because there's so many people trying to do same or similar things, the rates are going down. And now everyone is expected to do free work for a really long period of their life until they can start charging.
Speaking of that, even in the creative world, I have insider
Goss.
tips and whatever, not tips, insider goss, that the reason why loads of modeling agencies are opening their books back up this year, and it's honestly like the most I've ever seen in the past at least 2-3 years. No, 2021 was the last time I saw people like opening their books up, signing, right? I was curious, like, why is everyone opening their books up and around the same time of each other? I was like, okay, is it before like the summer boom of like signing people? But actually, what it is that agencies are trying to go for younger and younger and younger, so that two things. One, because obviously they always capitalize off a fresh face, and you can get aged out of modeling really, really quickly. But at the same time, it's because they will accept lower pay because they're new faces, and so you can offer them just a little bit, and they'll be like, yes, because my first modeling gig, so I have to take it.
Hey, listen, don't get me wrong. I really do believe in the beginning that if you can build up your portfolio and you can contribute to something in return for a testimonial or feedback or connections or introductions or work of some kind, you can skill swap. And there's not a...
Is that skill swap? Is that being a beg?
No. I don't think... In the beginning, you can't be expected to be paid for everything when you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, valid.
I'm not talking about internships that are unpaid. I'm not talking about 9-to-5 work, which is full-time. But if you're writing a blog and you're contributing, and in return you're getting not only exposure, awareness, brand awareness, reach, connections, networks, then you can leverage them and eventually you can start charging. I'm a public speaker. I'm a presenter.
Come on.
If I had nothing to say in the beginning and I went on stage and I started charging thousands, to some extent, I'm going to look at you funny because I'm going to think, you don't know what you don't know. Yes, at some point you should start charging, right? But it's the first thing I've done. You haven't practiced. You don't have professional skills. You don't even understand the audience. You haven't even been able to articulate your message well. And then you're going and asking for something that doesn't serve the value that you're adding into the system, or you haven't priced yourself correctly. I think that can be questionable. So,
yeah,
I'm not suggesting that you do it for a long time by any means, but I am saying that when I started my business in 2020, it was peak COVID, right? I literally mean 3 days before, maybe 4 days to 4 years to today, maybe ish, right? I spent 6 months building a book, building my brand, posting on social media. I had nothing before, and doing free work, which I was skill swapping. I was building networks. I was getting into spaces that I naturally wouldn't be in. And now I've been able to recoup that money because of work that I did then. I'm not saying that we should extend or expand or kind of, add to the inequality that already exists, because it does definitely exist, especially for like women and women of color, and then we kind of, other intersectional kind of folks. I am saying that you need to also earn your piece.
How did you do that to your hair?
I think my hair just gets really passionate when I'm on video.
Okay.
And it just curls up by itself.
Mm-hmm.
I think you need to earn your piece.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably where I'm at. I was going to ask you actually, where do you even find hoodies like this?
Name Collective, if you're watching this, I love you. Named Collective.
Who buys these things?
Me.
I always think who buys them, and then
me. And this is so smart. This is so smart.
But anyway, I'm team Gen Z, just like I'm kind of team Millennial, right? Boomers, we can have a discussion another day. But my point is, they are the future of the workspace.
Who? Millennials?
Gen Zs. And then alpha babies. Right? And so we should, as people, as a society, be able to understand what their needs are and what their problems and challenges are, and help them to solve it, because they are the ones who are going to be building our businesses, our networks, our tech, our foundations, our systems as we move forward. And so I don't think it's fair either not to involve Gen Zs in the conversation, and to have these like expectations from them, but also to have these biases to be like, Gen Zs are X, Y, Z, and they're lazy. Gen Zs are so lazy, they don't want to do any work.
Gen Zs are paying.
I don't know if paying's the word, but Gen Zs aren't lazy.
They are, man. They
are aware of, they have so much information. To some extent, they're aware of their rights and aware of what's different between right and wrong and what's relevant. Yeah. And they're also trying to educate us.
You could also argue that because of us is the reason why a lot of other people, and this is exactly this great thing, a lot of other people of other generations can now talk about their mental health.
No, absolutely. I'm listen, like I said, I'm an advocate of what Gen Zs are teaching us.
Yeah.
I also think that Gen Z should just take a step back sometimes and listen.
You know what else?
And learn from your elders, because as much as they're like, oh, your elders, even when I was younger, I was like, oh, my elders keep speaking to me. Your elders know something. They have navigated life differently in some shape or form. Just listen. You don't have to take everything on, but maybe there's like a golden nugget there that you're like, yeah, actually, that was a cool way that you navigated it. Let me try that out.
Don't know. I think you guys need to work on your communication styles.
I think you need to work on your communication styles.
I think I think you guys mimic, millennials specifically, mimic too much how your parents spoke to you and did the wrong thing. Because so many of you are obviously elder siblings, right? So you do this thing where it's
And
like,
you all think you know how to speak.
I think we speak correct to how we would speak to our peers. And that is actually a lot more endearing than maybe what you think.
Your employers are not your peers.
Bro,
your employers are investing in you.
Oh, I have to be careful what I say there. But listen, everyone
but that's
is...
the truth of it. The truth
you have to earn my respect.
And you have to earn your paycheck.
So real, bestie. Yeah, true.
If you enjoyed that discussion, and this is actually how we speak, which is one thing that I just wanted to tell people, because this is like our day to day. Actually, I just get FaceTime when these questions come up, and I have a lot of questions too. I'm learning, right? Everyone is learning, and I think ultimately, if you can learn and you can be curious, that's what's going to help you.
The next time we do this, we should like do questions that are going to prompt us into arguing. I
felt like we were not arguing, but I definitely turned
You ain't seen nothing yet, girl. They should send us questions that are going to make us get a little bit fired up. Like, we're going to have, you know what I mean?
Why don't you give them an example of a question, T?
Don't ever call me that ever again.
Do you want me to call you your full name?
Obviously not. You can't use my government name online.
So what do you want me to call you then?
The persona I play every single day. I wake up, I put my mask on, I live my life. This is what you have to also then call me.
What is your name?
T.
So I just said T.
Sorry, it was just weird coming out of your mouth. Okay. Anyways, they should ask us questions like, so we can't do the dating questions, right? Those are off limits. Let's do.
I don't think right now we can't. I think let's get into it.
No, send us.
And see how our family reacts to even this conversation.
Who's the boss of me? Well, you're the boss of me, so I'm going to just blame...
Your mum and dad will listen to this.
I'm going to blame you. Ma, Didi said she wanted to do it.
They're one of the first people that are going to be listening.
I don't want Papa to watch a video of us talking about that stuff like that.
Well, Papa's watching. So dating is off for now, but situationships, friendships, absolutely.
Situationships is the same thing.
No, it's not.
Okay. Anyways, let's close it off
with a final question.
Okay, cool. I'm excited.
What's the one thing that you love about yourself?
I love my mind, and I hate my mind.
No, I didn't ask for hate.
Sorry.
Why do Gen Zs have to complicate everything? That's the problem. That's what we're talking about. Answer. Listen to the question. Answer the question. Stop trying to add your own bit. Just listen. Answer.
I love my mind.
That's it.
Yeah, but if I don't add the extra of like, oh, and I hate my mind, then it...
Hate's a strong word. Why do you hate
love something? Is also equally strong. Like, I love my mind and I hate my mind, but I know for certain that I would miss not being able to think as artistically, poetically as I do. And I mean this in terms of words, not just like, oh, cool, daydreamy visuals and stuff. The words that I speak to myself with in my brain, or the way I can come up with a poem on the spot, or this is really weird, but even like my spelling, like I can see words so clearly in my mind. I'm very fascinated by words, so I enjoy that.
I appreciate you. I acknowledge you. I
see you, I hear you, and I will work to do better.
I was going to plug Milky Mag, but I'm sure that's the one. I'm sure that you want me to say that. It's fine. If you are
young, sorry.
Please feel free to send us questions for our next whatever discussion this is. We've actually been trying to do this for a while. I've always wanted to do a video chat with my sister because I think she's cool. And I'm glad that we've finally done it, but I also would like some questions probed, and I think that'd be fun.
Yeah, follow me on Instagram, TMILKY.
That's it.
That was amazing. That was really fun.
Yeah.